Hello everybody, welcome to my channel Behind the Curtains of Life. Today I have the privilege to speak with Dorcas. Dorcas, with whom I've met via Effective Altruism. On the Slack channel there is this feature which is called virtual coffee. So basically the chat chooses random people across the whole Effective Altruism community, and it got connected us. We got in touch. We talked briefly, and while we were talking, I just came up with this idea that we could actually have a chat on my channel. So Dorcas, if you could, for me and for the listeners, introduce yourself a little bit, tell us a little bit about yourself, what you are, I will be very grateful, and then we can proceed with our conversation.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm Dorcas Freitas from Nigeria. I have a background in political science and currently in a master's studies and a postgraduate studies in international affairs and diplomacy. I was born and brought up here in Nigeria, so I lived practically all my years here in Nigeria. I have a little, not so vast knowledge on politics here in Nigeria, and then the international relations also with diplomacy. But my keen interest is on human rights and protecting human rights, especially the rights of women here in Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dorcas. And I think that this topic, what you just said, these topics will be the main topics of our conversation, as my channel is called Behind the Curtains of Life. So we would like to know more about what you are doing, how are you doing, what are your perspective on things, how are things developing in Nigeria, what are your hopes, what are you worried about. So I think that this would be the main like the areas that we will be talking about. But let's maybe start from the beginning, because we connected via Effective Altruism, right? So what brought you to Effective Altruism in the first place?
Okay, what brought me to Effective Altruism was the ambition, the goals that Effective Altruism was going through. Effective Altruism is an organization that pursues goals of imminent concerns to people in the world. Those that are more serious, because we can't all go in solving problems in the world, but there are more important problems we need to solve immediately to tackle it and help this world at large. So for me, Effective Altruism, I saw it as a platform in which I could also come in and then put in my own efforts in solving the immediate problems we have in my own country, Nigeria. Thank you.
So what would you find the main, most concerning problems in Nigeria that you are facing?
So the main problems we are currently facing in Nigeria, there are numerous problems. You have that of human rights, you have climate change, and so forth not. But the main problem here we are talking today is going to be on human rights. We have in Nigeria, we have so many issues going on right now. We have the kidnapping, the banditry, the intercommunal clashes, and we see rights of people being trampled upon, which is actually not good. So mostly for today, we'll be talking about the human rights of people, especially women and children, because we see them as the first contacts that are being impacted heavily with these issues of human rights. We see, okay, whenever they have all these unrest in some areas in Nigeria, not every area, but in some areas in Nigeria, whenever you have this instability, the impact are felt by women and kids first, because those are the ones which we see with great casualties. We see women and kids being frustrated, being thrown away, even in camps or IDP camps, internally displaced camps, where they are being kept. We see women and kids being molested. We see left abandoned, untreated. You see some even fall sick without proper care, proper feeding, proper health facilities, even in the camp, is not available. So the problem here is human rights needs to be respected. And in this part of the country, in as much as we shout human rights, the world is facing human rights. The global whole world is trying to at least protect the rights of human beings, because it's a given right. It's a right that everybody owns. You have the right to own your life, but then it relies on the government to protect that rights for you. And in some parts of the region in this country, we see the government failing to protect that right, because some parastatals in place have failed to do their job. So that's a major problem here in Nigeria. For me, there are some ideas, because the thing is, some of these human rights are to be protected by governments. Policies must be in place. And then we should have a body who will checkmate that such policies are being followed to the letter. Because if you just randomly create a policy and without following such policies to be implemented to the last stage, which means you're just creating a document or creating a draft paper which nobody will actually even try to work on. But if you actually have a mechanism or a system that will checkmate that policy being implemented to the full, we can see maybe, or to an advanced level, the changes, or will have an improved change in the life of people, especially the displaced people, women and kids in the region, where those we have these issues of either terrorism, banditry, or so forth in this country. So for me, I will feel policies in place, which is made by the lawmakers, and then a status or a group to follow up that policy. Make sure that that policy is implemented to its last bit, 100%, and make sure that we have an evaluative committee to see, okay, how far has this policy gone? Has this policy really achieved what we actually built it for or what we created it for? What is the rate of its achievement? Because if you create a policy and you have a 40% achievement, which means you've literally done nothing, you have to go back to the drawing board and then start afresh to create a policy, having people in mind of who you're trying to solve that issue for. So we need to have, apart from the policy, the apparatus or government officials to study that policy, we need to look for a monitoring team to evaluate the effectiveness of that policy on the people you created it for. So in such scenario, we need 3 steps. And in those 3 steps, if we can get proper people and the government to really work on these things, we will see the lives of people being improved in those regions. Because I know it's one thing to create a policy. Nigeria is large. Nigeria has almost 250 million people, as they say. Nigeria has 36 states. So it's not easy you drop a policy from the top and you expect it to be effective down here at the bottom. So we need to look for a monitoring team and an evaluation team. They can know if this policy is effective, okay, we will continue. If it's not effective, we need to stop it and then create another policy to make it effective.
And how is the current state of, at one side, creating policies or policy experts, and the second, as you said, monitoring and evaluating? How the structure right now looks in Nigeria? In what state it is?
Well, in the aspect of creating policies, actually, government parastatals or policymakers are trying their best. But where we have an issue now is the policy implementation and the evaluation of such policies. We always have an issue whenever it comes to policy implementations. In some scenarios or in some settings, we have seen policy implementation just being implemented for maybe barely 20, 30%. Not even up to 50%. To even know if it was effective. So that is where the bone of contention lies. When it comes to policy implementation, we still have a problem because some policies are left halfway. Okay, like Nigeria has a system, it's a democracy system. We have our elections every 4 years. So a government comes in, creates a policy, maybe midway, not at the beginning of its regime, midway, maybe 2 years into its government, it creates a policy. But of course, we know there's always going to be a problem after it finishes its 2 years and it's not in continuance there. The next government that may come may not even look at the policy again. So that policy is gone. It's like off the books. So we have a problem of the policy implementation, the monitoring, and then the policy continuance or continuation. We have seen governments come in and abandon some policies because maybe they feel it's not to them. It's not what resonates to either their own party, their individuality, or what they tend to achieve in office. So that's the problem we mostly have, policy continuation. There are some policies that actually were so good, but because of lack of policy continuation, they barely stopped at 30, 40%. So that's the problem we have in there.
Yeah, I wonder if I were to compare it to like Poland. We also have a government which switches each 4 years. So yeah, but could you like maybe historically, because I'm not aware of this fact, for how long have you got this democracy in Nigeria?
Democracy in Nigeria for now, we had we had the first republic, we had the second republic, we had a defunct third republic, and then currently in Nigeria we are in our fourth republic. The fourth republic started from 1991, I guess. Yeah, 1991. Currently 1990. No, 1999. Currently till date. Okay. The fourth republic started from then, 1999. Currently to date. So in between the first republic, we had some military coups. The second republic, we had some military coups too. Then the third republic, we had the assassination of the presidential candidates. Even before or when he was immediately announced as the candidate, we had an assassination attempt. It was chaotic. The military came over. And then at 1999, officially, we entered the Fourth Republic, which started from then till now, currently. So the democracy of Nigeria, it's like it's still growing. It's not yet there, but it will get there although very soon. But it's a democracy that was shaken between democracy and military. Although it didn't even start as democracy. Nigeria got her independence in 1960. Then it started a parliamentary system, just like the British that colonized us. So we started there before we transitioned into democracy. But it was a little bit of the democracy and the military until finally after 1999, it was full-blown democracy till date.
And I will ask one more question coming from my lack of knowledge, basically, because I never studied politics, especially in Africa. Compared to different countries in Africa, how well established is the democracy in Nigeria?
Well, for some African countries, they still see Nigerians' democracy as well established because not all African countries actually run on democracy. Some of them run on parliamentary system. So but for those who run on the democracy system, for some African countries, they still feel Nigeria has gone far, and they still see Nigeria. They have this slogan of the Big Brother Africa. Oh. Yeah, because as at 19 early independence, Nigeria took up. That was briefly during the Cold War. Nigeria was part of the member of the non-aligned movements. Okay. It wasn't siding with the West, and it wasn't siding with the Russians too. So it was just non-aligned. So for them, they felt, and for Nigerians' foreign objectives as at then, it was to bring the whole of Africa together, unite the Africans. So up to date, most African countries still see Nigeria as the big brother or the giants. They feel Nigeria has attained to some level, some extent that some of them are not yet there. So they are striving to get there.
Yeah, but there's still like plenty of steps that you need to go forward. While we are talking without the cameras rolling, to say, you also said that the problem is corruption, right? That it's also like one of the aspects of your system, which is very, very deep, which also doesn't make it easy, right, to make things work efficiently, right? So I wonder, and how about effective altruism in Nigeria? Because I actually sent you, there will be like a global effective altruism, there will be EAG in Nigeria, right? Could you maybe tell something more about this?
Yeah, there will be an EAG Nigeria coming up in July. We had one last year. For EAG in Nigeria, it has been there, but I think the knowledge for people was not that. Not many people were aware about EA Nigeria. In short, it's of recent that EA Nigeria started taking it to campuses, university campuses in Nigeria. Mostly it's just of recent they started moving to campuses to enlighten students know about this organization. This is what it does. This is how you can contribute your own quota to the building of the world and making it easy. So for EA Nigeria, even I just joined early this year, last year, early this year, because I wasn't opportune to attend the EA Nigeria last year. It held in September. But I had a chapter, which is I live in Abuja, so I joined the Abuja chapter this year. We had a meetup early this year around February, March. So I joined that. And for EA, it's still growing. And with the new course of action of taking this EA to campuses, it will enlighten youths to join, and there it makes it known that okay, this organization is working towards this to achieve this in Nigeria and the world.
The energy in youth, in you and all those youth Nigerians is like very, I can imagine this, like they want to really see this change, right? They want to feel safe. They want to not to worry about kids, about women. So I do hope and believe that really this effective altruism, which came to Nigeria, will be like, a beneficial force to help, because the problems there that you are facing are large. And I wonder, because you also, my channel, my foundation is focused on maintaining mental health balance. But you also, you pointed out to me this was very nice comment, that not everybody has the privilege to care for mental health balance. Could you maybe tell something more about this? How is the situation in Nigeria?
Yeah, why I actually said that earlier was Nigeria has a system of, if I paint a scenario, Nigeria keeps, like, we are on autopilot moving. A normal Nigerian, if not now for enlightenment for health, will not bother and go to the hospital to check himself. So far he is okay, he wakes up, he can step out of his bed and go out and walk. He has no business with the hospital until he is sick. That is an average Nigerian mentality. Until you're sick, you don't have no business going for a checkup, a monthly checkup. No, you're okay. So for we Nigerians, we always have this, we are on autopilot, or till we crash one day, we actually have no issues. So most Nigerians have this, if you tell them mental health, they will look at you and, do you know what you're saying? Even Nigeria alone can give you a mental health. Living in Nigeria alone can give you a mental health issue. So you just have to buckle up. So if you tell them, oh, your mental health, you can't come to, people feel you're lazy. Oh, because of my mental health, okay. Oh, my co-worker and shouted at me yesterday, it traumatized me. People will tell you are not normal, you are sick. Just that, they will tell you the whole concept of mental health is something the West brought, and we are just using it as a leverage, because everybody knows Nigerians are hardworking. Nigerians can work 12 hours a day. A Nigerian, if you leave him and if he's strong, he'll work 14 hours for you. So if you tell them mental health and it starts becoming, are you okay? Are you normal? It's Nigeria, just walk. So it's for some, yes, with the exposure, technology, the Western world, and seeing the dangers that this mental health issues causes to people. Medical people are now raising awareness, but it's still normal. How many people have access to even medical care that are even bothered to listen to the medical personnel about the dangers of this mental health? That sometimes in life, when you are tired, you need to take a pause. Because for a Nigerian man, he just keeps working, keep working, keep working. He will tell you there's no time to rest. The only time you rest is when you are lying down to sleep, which we know it's not normal. Your body will one day get tired and it will act up. So for mental health, people are really not aware. Not most people are aware because of the scenario or the situation we find ourselves in Africa and in Nigeria as a whole. So not everybody is aware of it. But those who are aware of it are raising awareness that this is real. Mental health is an issue. People are going through it. People are depressed. People are committing suicide. People are just killing themselves. And these things are real. But because of our society, when you speak up, they feel you're lazy. They feel you are not serious. So it makes people bottle up these things and not even talk about it entirely. Yeah. And that leads to depression, and you start losing the person. So that's just an issue with mental health in Nigeria.
I have to say that it resonates with Polish attitude, especially in the older generations, For example, my parents or grandparents who, had fought wars, Second World War, and they were traumatized by this, but they had there is this I think that you are totally right, that mental health is like this very Western, but maybe not Western, because even in Eastern philosophy,
21st century word that we coined for ourselves.
Yeah, but from different angle, I tend to think about mental health also as a term of inner peace, like finding sense in what you're doing, because so I wonder, I can imagine that there is a lot of that one thing that really brings this sense to Nigerian is faith. Is that correct?
Yes.
And Nigerians are, was the religion in Nigeria?
Well, Nigeria has a mixed religion. We have traditional worshippers. We still have Muslims. We have Christians. So it's a mix. It's just a mixed country. No specific region, no specific religion is taking it at the top. So everybody just goes away.
Could you tell
That's
me,
it.
because this is for me totally new, because I know Christians because I was raised as a Christian. Could you tell me something more about this traditional religion? What is based on?
Okay, the traditional religion is mostly we'll call it, we can give it a name as African religion. Before Islam or Christianity came in, they were worshiping idols and gods. Like some of them will tell you they have a god of sky, they have a god of water, and so that's just the traditional worshippers. They don't believe in Jesus Christ, or they don't believe in Muhammad, the Prophet Muhammad, but they just believe that their forefathers worshipped gods that are not this true. So they continue in that line.
And the percentagely spread, how do you know the statistics? Maybe how what was the percentage of people who are like traditionally religious in Nigerian, and Christians and Muslims and different faiths?
No, I can't actually give you such statistics right now. For the mental health issue, I think the awareness is going on strong. People are beginning to accept it, although, like you said, the older generation still don't believe in it, because for them they feel it's just the way we choose to bring out that we are so lazy. Because for them, for if you use mental health in a generation of the old, like generations that faced the war, the civil war, or the second world war, they'll still tell you are lazy. In Nigeria, they will tell you are just looking for an excuse and you're lazy. Because for mental health, it's actually you protecting yourself, like you said earlier. You finding the peace to your own self. You trying to put yourself first. Your mental state's okay before you can actually even help others. But that concept is really strange with the generations behind, because they feel you're going to be selfish, you're just lazy, you don't want to do anything. Because there are still offices today, and there was a time we were having an argument with some, even job recruiters frown at recruiting Generation Z, because they feel that generation is always trying to, if you give them a job task or you tell them to do this, and they will come up with an excuse, their mental health. There was a time that argument was going in, that Gen Zs are always trying to pick those words. But then, if you check it, actually, maybe at that state of time, the person's mental health was not able to carry out that duty. It's not his fault. You don't blame him. It's something he can't control. But the moment you tell him that no, you just dismissed him, that was a wrong impact entirely. But then it is what we see all over. I think, yeah, it is what we just face in Nigeria. We have that issue. But then the awareness is still going on. People are trying to understand that, okay, fine, we need to respect people's boundaries. We need to respect people's say or choice of whatever they want to do. It's their life. There's no need you pushing somebody to something, and at the end of it, you don't get results for it. So you allow him to do it at the pace he wants to do it, and when he feels it's okay for him to do it. Because you may push somebody to go and do something or go and take a rule now, and on the process of that rule, the person dies. On the process of that rule, he does the direct opposite of what you want him to do. And if you shout or you scold him, he'll tell you, but I told you I was not ready for this. You insisted. So the society is now accepting that, okay, yes, this mental health is real. People are going through stuffs. Literally the world is in chaos. Everybody is going through one thing or the other. So we need to start learning how to cut some slacks for people whenever they tell you they are not in the right frame.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And tell me, because while you were talking, this popped into my mind. How is the, because we have government, so people who are ruling, setting laws, and there's like the community, right? How does the community works in Nigeria? Like in Poland, we tend to be quite, because of the capitalist system, we tend to be quite isolated. So everybody's working for themselves, basically. Of course, there are communities we do, but there's an epidemic of loneliness, especially in younger Generation Z, as you mentioned. And how does it look? Because I can imagine that it's different because of the history of Nigeria. What are the bonds, community bonds, bondings in your country?
Well, Nigerian generally has this communal life because I can live in a house even though I am in my own house. When I come out and see my neighbor, I can sit down and like gist with my neighbor for 5, 10 minutes before I go my way. Nigeria have this everybody is my neighbor kind of lifestyle. I can know like 3, 4 people after my own block. I can literally know them. I know their family. I can know, okay, some of even their friends or their extended family. So Nigeria has a communal lifestyle generally, and I think that's one of the reasons of those who left Nigeria, like go to UK, Canada, and that's what they keep hammering. They keep reiterating that, okay, fine, we have this communal life back home. Mind you, by the time you leave the shores of Nigeria, it is not always like that.
Okay.
So Nigerian general, we are always communal. We can sit, we can greet in your whole line or in your block. You can literally know everybody in that block. You can literally talk and gist with everybody in that block. So that's just how it is here.
That's something which in Poland is not met, and I mean, yeah, generally speaking, it's not common. I think it used to be much more common in a few decades past. However, I have like this interesting story. It was not connected with Nigeria especially, but I went to the meeting where there were a lot of international guests in Krakow, and there were husband and wife from India. And we just talked, we clicked, and they just invited me to their dinner. And it was like, and also the mother from this guy came from India, and we just like, I was invited to a foreigner, and for them it was normal, but I was feeling like this hospitality, which was from Asia actually in this regard. But I think it's very similar to what you are saying. It was for me something that this is definitely something that Polish people could learn from and get inspired, because I just ate with my hands some spicy Indian food, and it was a great experience. But I've never been invited by a foreign Polish guy to their family meeting ever. It's not something common. I can imagine that in Nigeria it is also common, right?
Yeah, in Nigeria, you can literally pass by a block and you're seeing somebody having a party. You don't even know the person. You can actually stop by and eat. It's like that. Like they'll tell you can sit down and eat. So it's just like that. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to know what is wrong there, what is going on there. So far, it's a party and there's a blast of music. They will literally tell you to come and eat. That's just it.
So I think that this is actually one of the very important aspects of mental health. So this actually brings a lot of optimism for me, because it is proven by science that creating strong social bonds makes your psychic very stronger in itself. It is like the basis of happy life. So this is actually something for me very optimistic from this conversation. Listen, and Dorcas, I think that we could shortly wrap up our conversation. I think that from my perspective, I'm really happy that we have this opportunity to talk, because you are like this spark of optimism in Nigeria. I'm not saying that you're the only one, but you're the first Nigerian person that I have interviewed, and I don't think that I've ever spoken with anybody from Nigeria before. I don't recall right now, so I'm really happy that we had the opportunity to talk. I wish you all the luck with your studies, with your future career. If you don't mind, we can catch up like in a year and see where things in your life are. What are the changes in Nigeria? Because for me, it's like I will definitely have like right now Nigeria on my mental map in terms of things which are developing, because I want to make a world a better place via my actions. So yeah, I really hope that this conversation was like a stone in a pebble to make some good changes, really.
All right, no problem. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, Dorcas.